there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Tuesday, October the 4th, 2022, and this is video number 158. How are you all doing? I hope you're well and staying safe. This episode, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I tried it a little earlier on in the year. There was a video where I was showcasing my project bags, what I pulled for projects, to pair with patterns, and I'm not going to be able to show you all of my project bag lineup, but I have a couple that are dream makes and I'll be starting some of these soon, and I want to get your opinion on yarn choices that I have collected along the way and also colors. And if you've used these yarns before, if you've seen any difficulty with them, any splitting, I'd love to get your opinion too before I commence. And I also want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. Introduce myself. I'm Gary. Hi. And I set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. That's in knit, crochet, and I do dabble in a little bit of yarn dyeing. I haven't done it for a while, but it's getting that perfect time of the year where it's not too cold, not too warm. I can go into the garage, set up and cook up a storm. I don't do anything large batch. I just experiment with colors, and I've got some yarn that I'll be talking about throughout the course of maybe October, November, before it gets too cold to go into the garage. And I'm looking forward to doing that and sharing those ideas with you as well. Yes, Hank, my male form here, he's wearing a scarf that I crocheted up. I think it was like one of my very first seed stitch scarves, and I really enjoyed learning and playing around with the different colors and fibers in this shawl scarf wrap thing. It has a combination of wool fiber as well as cotton fibers, and I just mix and match the colors. Some are 2 weight, some are 1 weight, and I really liked the way that the stitch work worked out for the seed stitch. Now, it does resemble Gryffindor to me. If you ever follow like Harry Potter and the Hogwarts school, there are 4 different houses, and Gryffindor is made up of yellow and red as their house colors. Now, if you're like me, when I was watching all of the Harry Potter series, there was this sorting hat program that is available online on the website. If I find it, I'll link it down below. You answer a series of questions and the program sorts you out into a house. I didn't fall under Gryffindor. I actually fell into Ravenclaw. Chad, my husband, also did the experiment or the sorting and answered the questions, and he also was Ravenclaw. So we're 2 Ravenclaws who have found each other, and I believe the colors of Ravenclaw are a gray and a blue, and there have been some changes throughout the course of the series, that the colors did change for Ravenclaw, and there was sort of like a tan and a blue at one point. So I absolutely had a lot of fun with finding out what house I belong to. Now, getting back to what I'm going to be chatting about, the project bags, I also have some happy mail that I'm super excited to share with you. And I also will catch you up down the end of the video on adventures that me and Mum, she visited me in August. She's from Australia, and she came across and we spent 5 wonderful weeks together here in my community that I live in. And I've got our next excursion that we went on recently. About 2 weekends ago, I had some friends from Holland or the Netherlands come over, and they stayed for a few days as well. So I've got some footage of our walk as well. We did the same trail, the walk up in Mount Washington. So I've got some footage of that as well. So I want to share that with you. And for the comments from 2 videos ago, I want to say thank you for the commenters. I really appreciate all of the knowledge that you shared with me. I had shown some yarn, and I wanted to know whether some people had used the yarn before and what they had made with it, some experiences that they had, and I got some great feedback. I got some patterns, I got some ideas to use the yarn. So baby blankets was one. I believe there were some baskets for another, and I'm looking down at my notes because I've written some things down. Oh, and someone gave me a good tip on checking out a yarn store, a local yarn store called Good Vibrations, and I really like the name of that. So thank you, keep the comments coming. I feel really connected with everyone, and I love the community so much, getting all of the responses and knowledge. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's kick off with what's in my first project bag that I'm going to share with you. And it's here. I'm housing it right now. It might get a little bit too big to house in this small bag, but the project is holding 5 different skeins of yarn. And this is the project bag that was quilted and handmade for me by my friend Melinda. Hi, Melinda. And I am entering the Stephen West Make Along for 2022, and it's called Twists and Turns. Now, Stephen West, if you don't know, he's a knit designer, and he has flamboyant colors, and he puts a lot of texture in, and I got a message, I just closed that. He puts a lot of texture into his patterns. They're really wonderful, and every year he comes up with a mystery knit along, and this one will undoubtedly be another remarkable design that he has come up with in his brilliant brain. So I will link down below the introduction to the Make Along, where he talks about what you need as your equipment and your yarn, and talk about the color kind of breakdowns in his mind on what will work for his design that he has going. And you register online for the pattern releases when they come up, and I believe it's starting October the 6th. Don't quote me though, because that's only in 2 days, and I still have to hang up my yarn. I have to ball up my yarn to get it ready. I wanted to just show you the yarn color choices that I made. So Stephen West has asked, I don't know, I can't say his name, Mr. West. I can't say his name Stephen on its own. It has to be Stephen West or Mr. West. Has asked to do a 3 choices of color. This one here I'm using, and it's this nice teal color. It is from the West Yorkshire Spinners, and it's called Exquisite. It's a 4-ply yarn, or a fingering weight yarn, and the color of this one is called Bayswater, or 318. I believe that might be the color number. I love it so much. It was a beautiful gift that was in a huge box of precious yarns from a friend, Crystal, over at Bag of Day. Hi, Crystal. She had this in there, and I fell in love with this super soft yarn when I opened up that box. Alongside, in a different box that she had sent me, was this Madeleine Tosh yarn here. And so the second color, color B, needed to be of a contrasting lightness. So one would be a deeper tone or a darker tone, and the contrasting color should be one that is a little lighter, so that when they go together, you see a definite contrast in the light dark factor. So this one here, another beautiful yarn. It's a one of a kind. It's called Herbology, and it's the Madeleine Tosh called just Tosh Merino Light, and I absolutely love it. It has slight tonal variegation in it, with the slight jadey color green, and then more of a yellowish green interspersed in the dye treatment. So that will be my A and B. And then the third color choice is a pop of color, and this is my pop of color here, which was a beautiful gift. So this shawl will be definitely a gift giving shawl, as all of the yarn that I'm using were from my friends here in the community. and it was from Penny Bolton. Vidalana Delight Sock by Knit Crate, and the colorway is called Walking Dead. I absolutely love it for my pop. It does also slightly tonal between a really highlighted green to a slightly more deeper tone of that highlight. So like imagine going over the highlighter marker twice. It has both varieties within the one hank. So that will be my bright pop color. So I think I'm set. I want to get your idea on whether it's a good choice of colors. And also with twists and turns, I have a feeling, because one of the implements that you need is a cable needle, that there will be some twists and turns in cables. And I like the idea that they're all light enough that if there is a twist or a cable that's going to be knitted up, that each of these tones will be representing the cable quite nicely. I did pull a couple of other darker colors out as well, but my concern there was that you might not see the cables in the really, really deep colors that I had first thought that I would use. But there's the colors again. Absolutely. I think it's gonna work up really nicely. And a lot of these colors that I've actually have in my selection are kind of represented here in the bag as well. I see some of that highlighted green and a little bit more of that emerald green as well. Not so much the jade or the teal. Oh, there's a little bit of teal in there too. So I thought that they matched and paired very nicely for the beginning anyway, because I think that bag I need a bigger, like a holding place when I'm ready to move on. And what I have understood from past make-alongs is that each week in October there's a new segment that is released, a new section of the shawl that is released for us to work on, and I'm super excited. I have 2 days to get these all wound up, or a part wound up, because I don't think I need to wind everything up. Maybe I will anyway, just in case. Yeah, super looking forward to that. The other item that I'm going to show you is in my Yarned and Dangerous bag that was generously gifted to me by Pamela. Hi, Pamela. And she has a podcast as well. It is Pamela's Crochet and Knit Corner. This is what I'm thinking of using for a sweater vest, and I'm thinking of using the Celtic cable, or it's called the Celtic knot or braid, and I'm going to be using these beautiful green hanks, quite woolly. It's quite a woolly and furry yarn. I think the cables will work nicely because it's not a dark yarn. But I love all of the colors that are speckling through this yarn. Excuse me. It is called the Croft, and it's from Wild Shetland, and it's 100% Shetland Island wool from West Yorkshire Spinners again. And this was also in that beautiful box of luxurious yarn from Crystal. Oh my God, thank you so much, Crystal. I'll slowly get through all the yarn, and just beautiful. I'm speechless. This jumped out at me as well when I first unboxed that amazing box of yarn. So let me tell you a little bit about this yarn. It is an Aran roving yarn, 100 grams, and it is in the color called Rolling Hills or 793. It is hand wash, lay flat to dry, all that good stuff. And it's 100% Shetland Island wool. Now, I think that's it. It's manufactured in England. And I think that's all I can tell you about that. It's really a beautiful yarn. I think the weight of it is probably I'm gonna say it's like a worsted weight. Oh, Aaron. So it's a 4 weight and quite a bulky 4 weight too, like a fuller 4 weight. Yeah, so let me know if you've worked with this yarn before and how it worked up, whether it worked up with a nice set of bigger needles. Right here, they are saying that to use a 5mm. And I don't have a pattern planned for this, but I'm planning to do the Celtic braid or cable work up through the middle of the vest, sweater vest, and I'm going to put a hoodie on it. So I have enough, I believe, in my 5 hanks to do the hoodie. I know that 3 would probably get me my sweater vest, maybe 3.5, and so that gives me a 1 full skein to work on the hoodie portion. So I can't wait. So thrilled with that. So without further ado, I have to, I'm just shaking with excitement about how wonderful and generous the next gifts are from very special people that I've met recently, and that's Risé and V. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for my beautiful gifts, and you know that you never have to send me anything. This gift, both of them, one came last night, the other one came about 4 or 5 days ago, are my first ever gifts from this maker as well as dyer, and my first ever Miss Babs yarn. I love her Instagram, how she showcases all of her wonderful dyed yarns. I go over to her website and I visit, but I never put anything in my shopping cart. I'm always worried that it's going to come to too much of shipment and shipping prices. So I can say now that I have some Miss Babs. Excuse me. I have to show this wonderful business card from Miss Babs, and it has a hank of her yarn on it to swatch up and to try out, and I think that's a brilliant idea. It's the colorway called Bewitching, and I'm going to leave all the information down below in the description box on how you can reach Miss Babs' website and all of her socials. But what a brilliant marketing strategy. Each time that you buy a yarn, you can have a little sample of another different style of yarn, whether it's on a different fiber or a new colorway, and you have something to test up to see whether you are going to enjoy the yarn. You can enjoy every bit of yarn from Miss Babs, I can tell you. And I got a beautiful postcard, handwritten message. Because it came directly from Miss Babs' website, the message was transcribed, and there's a note there from Risé and V. So thank you so much. A welcome card with some stitch markers here on the edge that I can use for my projects either now or when I'm working on the yarn that I'm going to show you. And some trunk sales that I think they're trunk sales, or maybe they are places where Miss Babs will be representing herself in fairs and festivals. They probably have all of this information online if you didn't quite get the being able to read the darker tone here. So let's get stuck into showcasing the yarn. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Risé and V. This is so wonderful. Okay, I'm going to firstly show you a pack, a tri-pack. I've taken it out of the plastic bag. There was like a beautiful presented plastic bag, but I needed to feel them, and I need you to see just how beautiful these 3 colors are. Now, the trio color set is called Carolyn, and it's made up of denim, Aquarius, and frozen. So if I pull back far enough, you see the difference between denim and frozen. Denim and Aquarius. So the darker one here is denim. Then this middle one is Frozen, and this edge one here is called Aquarius in the colorway. It's so beautiful and soft, and it's slightly tonal for the darker too. I'm not sure whether this middle one has any tone in it, like any tone variance, but it's a beautiful, beautiful color. I love it so much. Oh my goodness. So let me tell you a little bit about this yarn. It is fingering yarn, so fingering weight, 70% superwash merino wool, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. You get 400 yards or 365 meters in approximately 95 grams of yarn per hank. And they're saying here that the knitting needles are US 1 to 3. I'm not sure what that is in millimeters. And the crochet hook size is US B to E. So, wow, look at the colors. Now I have some ideas on what kind of color work I want to do. Now when I received this, I spent a couple of days, evenings I should say, in my happy place here. And I was pulling out all of my hand-dyed yarns to see whether I could do more of a fiesta style kind of color work. But these three alone would be a beautiful piece used in color work. But yet to be decided whether I'm going to add anything more to it. But I love it so much. Thank you, thank you. But that's not all. There is more from Miss Babs Yarns, and I was super thrilled with these as well. Okay, these are a little bit more textural. They have a great sheen to them. So the cashmere wool blend was more of a softer kind of slightly halo or slightly kind of fuzzy yarn, and this one has a bit of a sheen to it. And I absolutely haven't worked yet with this content. It is called Superwash Blueface Leicester, and I have two other hanks that I am coveting because I wanted the perfect project for it to try out my first Blueface Leicester. But look at these colors here. Holy smokes, I love them. I was interested in the colorway of this one. Gee, you know me so well, because it's called Ziggy Stardust. Now, if you don't know who Ziggy Stardust is, he is the alter ego or an avatar that David Bowie, who's a singer, songwriter from, I think he started way back in the 60s, and he was singing and writing songs all the way up past, I think, maybe 2000s, where he recently, within the last decade, had passed away. So I loved his music, and Ziggy Stardust. Look at those colors. Greens, all different styles of greens in there, like deep greens. Oh, there's a bit of burgundy as well. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Now, oh, I didn't tell you that it is 600 yards or 548 meters, approximately 150 grams. It's also suggesting here US 0 to 2 for needle size, and for crochet hook size it is A to D US. This is yarn that is dyed in Mountain City, TN. Is that Tennessee? I think it might be Tennessee, USA. So that's probably where Miss Babs is located. This one here is a slightly different hank. It has the same content as in fiber, but the amount is a little less. It is a hank that is 100 grams, offering up a beauty number here of 437 yards or 400 meters. and the base of this is given a name Katadin, and on this hank Katadin is 437, and this hank here is Katadin 600. So absolutely stunning yarns. Now, alongside of me pulling out all my own collection, I've found a couple that work really well with these colors, so you may see them in projects separately or together. I'm not too sure yet, and we will look at the project bag when I pull yarn for the patterns that I find for them later down the way. So I hope you'll enjoy join me, I should say, when that happens. Okay, not only did I receive wonderful Miss Babs yarn from Risé and V, I also received a box from a crochet hook maker. He makes other things as well, but it's Nelson Wood, and I will link his details down below as well, so you can go visit him. He has beautiful, beautiful handmade crocheted hooks that are a combination of all sorts of different things. You can get them mixed, or you can get them in pure wool or resin, and they're just amazing. So are you ready? Look at that. I almost don't want to take it out of the tube. I needed to feel it. I needed to touch it and see how wonderful this is. Now, we did mention the Harry Potter thing, and Risé did ask me, have a guess at what it is that you think the second package is. And I said, I don't know. Is it something that's kind of hard, crackly, soft? Is it a wand with a hook on the end? And she didn't give out and tell me what it was, but she said, yeah, kinda. So I think it looks very much like a wand, don't you? And funny enough, it is in a bluish color. Like, I think this resin part here is very blue, and this tip is slightly tealish, but pretty much Ravenclaw colors. I think the old-fashioned colors where there was the tan, not so much the gray, but the tan and the blue. So my Ravenclaw wand is here, ready to be used on a project to weave up or crochet or hook up some magic. So I should tell you a little bit about this hook. It is a handcrafted hook by Brian Taylor Nelson, and I can't read the handwriting on this label. That first word there, I'm not too sure what that is. Is it chartreuse root burl? That might be the wood. And blue earth, which I think is the resin, and blue holly and ebony rings. So blue holly must be the wooden part, and ebony rings is the black circles around it. Absolutely stunning. I love it. I love it. I want to just put it up on my shelf and admire it for a little while before using it in a project. Yeah, so this is definitely not going traveling with me anywhere. I'd be too worried about losing it or having it break. So it's going to be treated with kit gloves. So thank you, Risé and V, for these precious gifts. And you'd never have to send me anything, but what a delight it's been this week, just receiving those two amazing gifts. And now I've got to move on to talk about what I've been up to in my community, highlighting some of the excursions that I went on with my mum when she was here back in August, and also catch you up on some things that I've been watching. So if you were just around for the Yarny treats, that was all up front. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to thank you for stepping in and watching up to this point. And now, what have we been up to? Okay, so the adventure that me, Mum and Chad went on when she was visiting here in August was to Mount Washington. And we did a little hike up there. It's great when there's no snow, and there's still no snow right now. We're having a very extended long summer, and normally it is cooler, much cooler in October than what it is now. We're still hitting like the 20 degrees. But this wonderful walk that we had, it was a blistering day. I think it was close to 30 degrees up there on the mountain. And we walked for around 2 hours in and out of the trees and also around a lake. It was really pretty. So I've got some footage that I'll share with you at the end. Also, move along forward about 3 weeks after my parents had left, in the middle of September, we got some new guests come from the Netherlands, friends of ours who stayed for a couple of days, and we went to take them up on the walk as well, up on Mount Washington. Now, we did an extended walk. We actually walked around 3 lakes, and it took us around 3.5 hours. We were completely exhausted by the time we got back to the car, but we enjoyed it thoroughly. And the look and feel over the course of the 5-week period between the 2 walks that we did was astounding. We went up there on a moody day. It was kind of like slightly overcast the second time, and the feel of it, the lighting and the colors were just as mysterious and evoked all those enchantment feelings of waiting for something to happen by the still lakes that are up there. They're almost mirror-like, very still. As well as that amazing walk that we took our guests on, our Dutch friends were showing amazing eatery places around our neighborhoods here. In Cumberland, we visited a pizza place called Ryder's Pizza, and they boast about all of their educated learns when they went to Italy about finding out the secrets on how to make dough, and also it was an open fire kind of oven style pizza, and it was delicious. So they were also impressed with the knowledge of pizza making here up in Canada. So that was great. The other place that we took them to was Atlas, which is a restaurant which has fusion food, and it is really comforting food, nothing too pricey, and everything about flavor. So that's the kind of place that we liked going to. So they really enjoyed that as well. Other than eating out and doing little excursions, there were some times that we had in the evenings stitching away or just relaxing watching some movies. So I've got some reviews or recommendations for movies. I've got one here that's a documentary, one that is more of a thriller type scenario movie where it's based on a true story. And the last one is just a fun Halloweenish style movie that could pass the time while you're gearing up for your Halloween events. So here we go. The documentary is My Teacher, the Octopus. It's a stunningly filmed movie where you have beautiful shots of a rugged coast in, I believe, South Africa. And it's the relationship between a diver, journalist. He's gotten disheartened with his career and his profession. He's not sure what he wants to do, so he's kind of on a hiatus, and he wants to go diving every day. And he falls for, I'm going to say he actually does have a relationship with an octopus. And it's their ongoings, like their relationship, what they get up to when he goes visits the octopus on a daily basis. So I won't spoil anything, but there are some touching bits. There is definitely some laughs. And it's all to do with his own dialogue, but there's definitely some sort of interaction there. And I absolutely love octopuses, so it's one of my animals. The next one is called Candy. Now this is a mini series. I think there's 7 segments or 7 episodes in the mini series, and it's based on a true story. Obviously they've taken some liberties on protecting names or changing some details, and also for dramatic value. But it stars Jennifer Beal, and she's the main actress who is portraying Candy, who is a kind of infamous but not knowingly or knowingly, and it's about some sort of I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is murder involved, and yeah, you just need to kind of know that it has a little bit of gruesome scenes in it, but nothing too graphic, and it does set up a great storyline on suspense and a little bit of I don't know, like character relationships, I'm going to put it that way. And the last one here is a redo of a very fun movie. It's kind of slightly horror, slightly comedy, and it's been redone. I saw the original back in, I believe, the 80s, and it's been redone with a new cast, and it stars Colin Farrell, and it's called Fright Nights. So it's about the vampire that moves next door kind of thing, and there is some teenage activity trying to expose the true identity of the neighbor and what he gets up to. So I hope that those suggestions are going to be embraced, and perhaps maybe you might try watching some of them. Let me know if you've seen them and what you've felt and thought about each of those if you have already watched them. Now, there are some YouTubers that I want to mention as well that I've been watching, new ones to me, and I must say that I did go down a rabbit hole on Icelandic unwoven or unspun yarn, because I have a few I think they're called discs or cakes, or they're round circles of unspun Icelandic yarn. It's quite woolly, and I went down a rabbit hole of finding out whether any YouTubers out there had actually touched base on that style of yarn and what they had made with them. So the couple of YouTubers that I found was The Knitting Stew, and that is Leanne, and she's from Alberta. Now, she was talking a little bit about that yarn, and I was curious to find out more about her knowledge as well as her experiences, and she also travels across Canada. So I find that her episode that I watched was very informative about her visiting Victoria. The one that I saw was she was in Victoria, and someone's like screaming outside, running up and down. Must be kids playing. The next one is the YouTuber called An Irish Knitter, and that is Sam. I don't know whether he actually used any unspun yarn, but I think he was talking about colorwork sweaters, and I was really getting drawn into maybe using the unspun yarn for some of the colorwork that he had in his knitted sweaters. Very interesting guy. Also, the last one here is Madison Montes, and I believe it was the first video that I watched of hers. She just put it up recently, and I was very interested in all of the unspun yarn that she had purchased and what her ideas was to use it as well. So those are some 3 suggestions on YouTubers that I've been watching, and if you're interested in unspun yarn or colorwork sweaters, they might be someone that you could look at as well and find some information on if you're looking, going down that rabbit hole as well. With that, I think that catches you up on everything. It is getting quite late here, so I gotta kick off and change gears and cook up some dinner for me and hubby. But I will be back next week, and I want to wish all my Canadian counterparts and friends out there who celebrate Thanksgiving a happy Thanksgiving, which is happening on Monday. So happy family times, travel safe, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.